In the heart of West Africa, in a kingdom shimmering under the golden sun, lived a king whose greatest treasure was his daughter, Princess Adana. Adana wasn't just beautiful. Her mind was as sharp as a newly forged spear, and her spirit as free as the eagles that soared above the savannah. As she came of age, suitors from every corner of the land arrived, each one boasting of their strength, their wealth, and their lineage. But the king, wanting a son-in-law worthy of Adana, declared a challenge unlike any other. He wasn't looking for the strongest or the richest man. He was looking for the wisest. The challenge was this: deep within the treacherous whispering woods, guarded by ancient spirits and tangled vines, lay the sunstone, a gem said to hold the light of 1,000 dawns. The first man to bring him the sunstone would win his daughter's hand and a place of honor in the kingdom. The announcement sent a jolt of excitement through the land. Warriors polished their shields, princes gathered their finest horses, and boastful strongmen flexed their muscles, all eager to prove their worth. They saw the challenge as a test of might, a race to be won with speed and brute force. Among the crowd, standing quietly at the back, was a young warrior named Kale. Kale was known not for his booming voice or his bulging muscles, but for his silence. He was a man of few words, who spent more time observing the patterns of the wind and the migration of birds than he did in the training yard. The other warriors often mocked him, calling him the Shadow because he moved so quietly and spoke so little. They saw his calm demeanor as weakness, his thoughtfulness as hesitation. But they were mistaken. Kale's strength wasn't in his arms, but in his mind. He understood that the greatest battles are often won before a single blow is struck. While the other suitors charged headfirst towards the whispering woods, their loud shouts and clanging armor scaring away every creature, Kale took a different approach. He didn't rush. Instead, he went to the oldest woman in the village, a wise elder who knew the secrets of the land. He didn't demand answers. He simply sat with her, listened to her stories, and shared his water with her. In return for his respect and kindness, she gave him a small, simple piece of advice. "The woods listen," she whispered. "Do not fight its whispers. Learn their language." Kale thanked the elder and began his journey. He entered the whispering woods not as a conqueror, but as a guest. He walked softly, his feet barely disturbing the fallen leaves. The other warriors had tried to hack their way through the tangled vines, only to find the branches growing back thicker and stronger, trapping them in thorny embraces. Kale, however, noticed the way the monkeys swung through the canopy. He saw that they followed a natural path, a winding route where the vines were thinner. He followed their lead, moving gracefully through the labyrinthine forest without breaking a single branch. Soon, he reached the first guardian of the woods, a great river with a current so strong it could sweep away a dozen men. The other suitors had tried to swim across, fighting the powerful current until they were exhausted and forced to turn back. Some tried building rafts, but the river shattered them against the rocks. Kale sat by the riverbank and watched. He saw a family of otters playing near the shore, effortlessly gliding from one side to the other. He noticed they used a series of submerged rocks, like stepping stones hidden just beneath the surface. He carefully mapped the route in his mind and, following the otter's path, crossed the raging river with ease, his clothes barely even damp. His next challenge was a formidable cliff face, sheer and smooth, reaching towards the sky. At its base, defeated warriors nursed their wounds. They had tried to climb it, their bare hands and ropes finding no purchase on the slick stone. Kale looked up, but he also looked around. He observed a colony of ants marching in a perfect line up the side of the cliff. He followed their trail with his eyes and discovered a tiny, almost invisible fissure in the rock, a natural crack that zigzagged all the way to the top. It was a difficult climb, requiring patience and precision. But for Kale, who had spent his life observing the small details others missed, it was simply another pattern to follow. Finally, he stood at the heart of the whispering woods, before a clearing where a soft, warm light pulsed. There, resting on a pedestal of ancient stone, was the sunstone. But it was not unguarded. Coiled around the pedestal was a colossal serpent, its scales shimmering like emeralds, its eyes burning with ancient intelligence. The few warriors who had made it this far had charged the serpent with their swords and spears, only to be swatted away by its powerful tail. They saw a beast to be slain. Kale saw something else. He saw a guardian. He noticed that the serpent wasn't aggressive, it was defensive. It was protecting the stone. He also noticed something the others had missed in their haste to fight. Scattered around the clearing were rare, fragrant flowers that only bloomed in the moonlight. He remembered the elders' stories about the forest spirits and their love for these particular blossoms. Instead of drawing his weapon, Kale spent the next hour carefully gathering the flowers. He approached the serpent slowly, with no weapon in his hand, and laid the bouquet at the base of the pedestal as an offering. The great serpent watched him, its head tilted. It had seen men come with fire and steel, but never with a gift. It uncoiled itself slowly, a low hiss escaping its lips. Not a hiss of anger, but of acknowledgement. It slithered aside, revealing the path to the sunstone. Kale walked forward, bowed his head in respect to the guardian, and gently lifted the gem. It felt warm in his hands, pulsing with a gentle, living light. He had not fought the woods, he had understood it. He had not conquered its guardians, he had shown them respect. When Kale returned to the palace, the king and his court were stunned into silence. The other suitors, bruised, battered, and empty-handed, could only stare in disbelief. Kale, calm and composed as ever, walked to the throne and presented the sunstone to the king. He didn't boast of his journey or recount the dangers he had faced. He simply said, "Your Majesty, I have brought what you asked for." The king, a wise man himself, understood immediately. He looked at Kale, then at his daughter Adana, who was smiling for the first time since the challenge was announced. She had been watching from her balcony, and she alone had understood Kale's methods. She saw not a silent, weak warrior, but a man of profound intelligence and deep respect for the world around him. "You have not conquered the woods with force," the king proclaimed, his voice echoing through the great hall. "You have harmonized with it. You have proven that true strength lies not in the sword arm, but in a quiet, observant mind. You are the one worthy of my daughter." And so, the quiet warrior married the clever princess. He never became a loud or boastful leader, but his reign as the king's advisor, and later as king himself, brought an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity. He taught his people that listening is more powerful than shouting, that understanding is more effective than force, and that the greatest victories are won not on the battlefield, but through wisdom, patience, and respect for all living things. And the story of Kale, the quiet warrior, was told for generations, a timeless reminder that the loudest voice in the room is not always the strongest. Thanks for watching our story today. If you enjoyed this tale of wisdom and strategy, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure into the world of folklore. See you next time.